The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
All right. Welcome back, America. Don Jeffries is our guest this afternoon. He is investigator with the Cold Case Posse. He's out in St. Charles, Missouri with Mike Zullo at the National Sheriffs and Peace Officers Convention. Don, you with us?
Yes.
Okay, let me just say a word to our listeners. It's our understanding, Mallory Bardwell, our world-famous producer, just came in a moment ago and says that our server is being slammed. We have so many listeners. Some of you have been calling up saying, I can't get you. Here's what you do. Go to carlgallops.com. Up at the top right-hand corner, there are 2 links whereby you may listen live. Don't click link number 1 right now. Click link number 2, and that'll take you to the TuneIn Radio website, TuneIn Radio app. If you have your cell phones, you can listen to us on TuneIn Radio app, or go to carlgallops.com, click on Listen Live link 2. And you can keep trying link 1. Apparently that's the server at our own radio station site, and apparently it is slam full of listeners right now. So God bless everybody that's listening. Thank you for tuning in today. Don, you've got a huge audience listening to you. So and plus we're going to podcast this, so it'll go all over the world tomorrow. But let me go ahead and say, 2 things I'd love to get to if we've got time. First of all, tell us very quickly everything you do know about the Social Security number he is using, because there are some weird things about that.
All right. I'm not going to quote the number over the radio, of course, but everyone does know that he's using a Social Security number that supposedly comes back to a Harrison J. Bennell.
Right.
Now, the question is he using the Social Security number under the name Harrison J. Bennell? Of course not. He's using it under his own name.
Right.
Now, whether there was a typo or not, I know there was research done to see if the Social Security numbers before they were issued where they went and after they were issued where they went. However, it could have been a typo. I don't know. You don't know. The world really does not know. Now, what I'm getting at with this is he did not assume the identity of Harrison J. Bennell. Therefore, there's no crime. He's using it as his own Social Security number at this point.
Right.
If he has used it for anything else under another name, we do not know.
Right.
Now, with that, there's no probable cause for it, and there's no evidence value for this. Now, the only way to find out truly if he was issued a Social Security number or not would be to see his SS5 application, which is on microfilm.
Right.
The Social Security Administration is refusing to show it to anybody. Now, there has been court battles over this.
Right.
But the thing is, he didn't commit a crime. So how are they going to release it for just because somebody's curious?
Right.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I understand. There are legal technicalities involved in this that are just mind-blowing and aggravating. But again, as a former cop and criminal investigator at times, I understand how this works. So what you're saying is there are anomalies. There are things that make your eyebrows raise on the Social Security number he's using. But thus far, there's nothing that you guys have enough criminal evidence to just to file a criminal charge and make it stick in court on the Social Security number issue alone. Am I correct in that?
Right. Well, there is no crime because he hasn't assumed Harrison J. Bennell's identity to use it or anybody else's.
Right. So even though the number... Go ahead.
Maybe it's a mistake with Social Security.
Right.
The number. We don't know.
Right. No, you make a good point, and I know people that don't like Obama and wish that this is what could politically hang him, but yet you make a good point. You make a perfect legal law enforcement point, and that is, look, all right, so this number he's using, and by the way, you can say the number over there because it's all over the Internet, and I've said it over the air, but you don't have to if you don't want to, but the number that he's using, that's probably the most famous Social Security number in the world now, you're saying it does often come back registered to a guy named Harrison J. Bonnell. However, as you're saying, technically, legally, that could be a mistake of the Social Security Administration because as far as we know, and we could find out something tomorrow, but as far as we know right now, Obama has never passed himself off as Harrison J. Bonnell. Now, if he did that, that would be a federal crime.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, very quickly, because we're running out of time, we're going to have you back on, I can tell, Don, and just give you much more time to talk about this. But we're kind of in a rush right now. Tell us, you were also assigned to the Linda Joy Adams case. Linda Joy Adams claims to be a relative of Obama from out in Kentucky, I think, or someplace, and she claims to have known the identity of Obama's real parents, and you were assigned to look into that. What do you know about Linda Joy Adams?
All right. Well, basically, I'll make this as quick as I can. She states that Dan W. Pope stole Stanley Armored Dunham's ID in order to go into the service.
Yeah.
Well, we were able to find out that Dan W. Pope himself was born in 1931.
Right.
Okay. He wouldn't have been old enough to. He wouldn't. Stanley Dunham was also born earlier than that. The years don't fit. He would have been like 9 years old or something if he wanted to steal his ID.
Right. Right.
Okay. And on top of all of that, he would have been 12 when Stanley Ann was born.
Right.
Okay. Now, hear me out with the census. We found 1930 that Ralph and Stanley Dunham were living with their grandparents in 1930. Now, not to mention this, if he was going to continue to use Stanley Armored Dunham's identification, well, then what about the original Stanley Dunham's brother, Ralph?
Right.
Okay. Now, Ralph was, back in 2009, it was uploaded on YouTube, he did an interview about his deceased brother and about his great-nephew, the president. So he just couldn't match. There's nothing there for us to even look at.
Right. So the I'm sorry.
When we explained that to Linda Joy Adams, we got a response back from her, but it wasn't addressing anything that we told her about.
Right. Right. Okay. So the bottom line, and again, we're running slap out of time, and this is my fault. But the bottom line is that the allegations made by Linda Joy Adams, the information she brought forward and attested to that she knew was fact, you have been able, through investigative means, investigative techniques, you've been able to basically eliminate all of that information, and you're saying that her allegations or information are just, they simply don't hold water in any kind of a law enforcement manner, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Well, Don Jeffrey, you listen, do you have Mike Zullo's back? Y'all got each other's back out there, right?
Yes, sir. We're sure do.
Okay. And I know you got a lot of cops around you, but I also know there's a lot of people that wished you guys weren't out there right now. And thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for what you have done. So just as a quick recap, so what you're saying, these allegations that there are a myriad of Social Security numbers attached to Obama's name, you have been able to determine so far they are not attached to his name, and you have no proof that he's using or ever has used all of those numbers. And the one number he is using does often come back in research to a Harrison J. Bonnell, but thus far in your investigation, you have not found anywhere where Obama has ever passed himself off as Harrison J. Bonnell, so that number could very well have been mistakenly given to him by the Social Security Administration itself.
Yes, unfortunately, when we report things, we have to report honestly, and sometimes people don't like what they hear. Yeah,
no, I know. But this is still very intriguing, and you could uncover something tomorrow that would change the whole thing. Don Jeffrey, we're going to have you back on, okay? Thank you for being on today.
Thank you very much.
Okay, God bless you, Don Jeffrey. Well, folks, you are listening to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, Mallory Bardwell, your world-famous producer. I told you you would hear stuff here that you will not hear anywhere else.
People who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.